Stop acting like it's impossible. Stop pretending you just can't get lean. Stop acting like a six-pack is just genetics. Like it's a binary, like a yes or no, like you just can or can't get a six-pack, because you don't have a genetics problem. You have a routine problem. You have a hormone problem, most likely. You have a knowledge problem, and potentially even an implementation problem. And most people will never fix these problems, so they stay average. And let me tell you something, shallow but true. Getting a six-pack can change your freaking life. Socially, psychologically, status-wise, self-confidence-wise. You know, you're walking into a room completely differently. How you carry yourself, how you take up space, how you exude your personality and your impact on the world. You are standing at the beach differently. You take a mirror selfie differently, you know, when you have that six-pack muscular body. You carry yourself differently, just generally. People look at you, and because of your body, they assume discipline, because it takes a lot of discipline and work to get that. And girls will look at you and assume confidence.
Wow.
Guys will look at you and assume competence. He's a hard worker. And here's the part that most men need to hear. It's not impossible. It's just that most people don't have the discipline or the understanding when it comes to maintaining a six-pack. Most people you see at your gym every single day, yes, you know, guys you see every day at the gym, but they still look average, right? Even those guys, they don't have the discipline to maintain a six-pack. Even though they go to the gym every day, they still don't have the discipline. I say this not because I just see it all the time, because I usually do, especially back in the States, but I say this because I lived it too. I've been skinny, right? Super lanky. I've been overweight, fat, lazy, like pre-diabetic. I've been bloated. I've been that normie at the gym with the bodybuilding.com t-shirt with an average looking physique. I've been that dude. Then I've been shredded with some lean muscle and a rather impressive physique from what most people would say. And I've maintained visible abs for 4 years naturally. But I almost quit my journey towards getting that, you know, fitness model style body, or that, you know, Hollywood celebrity physique look, right? Because back in 2018, I found out my testosterone levels were at like average 65-year-old level territory. And let me talk about what actually matters, right? Because there was a point where I was doing extended fasting and, of course, keto in conjunction with that partially. You know, 5 days, 6 days, up to 7 days was my longest water fast with no food. No food. I was just trying to force my body to reveal abs. That was really my goal. You know, it's all about ketosis, fat burning to unlock that fat loss, right? That's what I believed at the time, right? And, you know, the trend through this process of intermittent fasting and extended fasting for over 2 years kept me away from actually getting the six-pack, like that impressive, truly shredded and jacked physique with that, you know, just washboard abs, right? There's a specific look I was going for, and fasting and ketosis didn't do that for me, even after 7 days of no food. Ridiculous. I didn't understand why my body wasn't giving up that fat. You know, I was flat, I was tired, I was cold, you know, my fingertips, my toes, I was moody, and I thought I lacked discipline. But, you know, in reality, fasting for 7 days takes the discipline of like a freaking iron monk at some level. And, you know, I realized later, of course, down the line, that something else was wrong. And it turns out my testosterone levels were extremely low, especially my free testosterone. And here's what no fitness newbie is taught generally. This is a big deal too, because you don't need to just lose fat, right? It's not just like that. You need to mobilize the fat from storage, and then you need to oxidize that fat through your activity and dialing in your meal plan. That's it. Testosterone, well, of course, it helps burn and also mobilize fat. Does both, because you'll gain more muscle that way too. So low testosterone, it's harder to build muscle, right? It's harder to burn fat. Both sides of the situation. If you have low T, you're getting screwed. So lower drive, lower confidence, that's not going to help you either. And of course, years later, I discovered that I also had a thyroid condition, like hypothyroid, a slow metabolism. That's what I was diagnosed with. And thyroid hormones help regulate how fast your body basically burns through glucose energy. So it's separate, but it's potent. Think about it like my body burns 200 to 300 calories less than the average person. That's what we're looking at. And, 200 to 300 calories might not sound like much, like per day, but it actually is when you multiply it by 365 days. That's a huge difference. That's like a workout's difference of calorie burn. And that is also the difference between shredded and soft looking. That's the difference between the visible abs and like that almost there, like kind of ab contours poking through, right? And that's when I stopped blaming genetics and started just dialing everything in, because I realized those missing 300 calories my body wasn't using needs to be made up for in some capacity if I'm going to do this right. All right, now let's talk about having, a six pack that is actually lean and actually impressive to people, right? Something that looks almost insane in person. So let's be real. Don't get this twisted at all. This is, having a six pack isn't just about the looks thing. I bring this up all the time because there's other lessons to get from it. It's about leverage and proof. And when you're lean and muscular, of course, your face looks sharper, your jawline is popping, your posture improves, your clothes fit differently, usually for the better, or at least you're going down in the waist size, new notches in your belt, and your chest finally pokes out of your shirt, right? Psychologically, you've stopped negotiating with yourself. You've stopped lying to yourself. You've built proof for yourself because you become the guy who does hard things constantly. And that bleeds into your ability to do things like make more money. It bleeds into the energy that you carry into dating because you're becoming a more competent person that just gets things done. It bleeds, of course, into your confidence. So you become more confident through your competence. And, it goes into discipline at every facet of your life. And that's why this matters, right? It's not just getting a six pack for vanity purpose, right? This is for identity. It's being your actual avatar, how you want to express yourself. Now, realize where I messed up here, because I couldn't get the six pack I always wanted from eating nothing for 7 days. So what did I learn from that experiment of not getting the six pack from fasting for years? Well, I learned you get the six pack from the food you actually do eat. The food quality and the food quantity mobilizes the body fat, remember, right? Activity, training, recovery, and sleep is what oxidizes the body fat and gets it out. It actually escapes your body mostly through the form of your breath, during a walk up some stairs, or even during a night of sleeping, you're breathing out the fat. Easy, right? Once you cover your bases, it is that easy. Because let me tell you something. You cannot maintain a real shredded six pack casually until you've measured everything for months and you know the serving sizes, right? This is why you need a plan to start you to get you there. It shouldn't be extreme. It shouldn't be miserable. It should be structured. And that means you have a daily protein target. You're getting controlled carb intake based on your activity and your intensity in the gym, having intentional healthy fats, having your micronutrient coverage, like your vitamins and minerals from real food, having your measured portions. Key. That is the key. But it's also about doing it with the foods that you love. Buy a freaking food scale. I don't care if it feels obsessive. People always talk about this. Would you rather win and get dialed or lose by staying the same, having wasted a year, right? Starting over like every 6 months because, well, I just eyeball it. Or rationalizing against your plan and deciding, hey, I can have a little treat. It's okay. No, it's not. When I realized my metabolism was slower, that's when I really took this seriously and stopped guessing because I didn't have room to guess anymore. 300 grams of ground beef is 300 grams of ground beef. It's not like, a bowl size. It's not like a scoop. It's not about this much. You freaking dial that shit in because the precision equals the freedom. You should be stressing out, like not knowing exactly what the fuck you're doing because you're not measuring it. So stop dieting like an idiot, flat out. Guys like me, way back when, I made 2 big mistakes. One, I starved myself, right? This was about the intermittent fasting, the extended fasting type crap, right? Or I would dirty bulk as the second thing. I did the extreme fasting, 7 days, right, for cutting. And I thought that was maybe optimal because ketosis, right? And you know what that did? That lowered my hormones even further. It slowed my metabolism. It flattened my muscle by, depleting glycogen stores constantly. And really, it made me look worse in the time scale where I should have been more motivated, right, to continue and push harder. It really made my training sessions just suck, right? Because it's a big thing to see you evolving in the mirror. And realize this too, because if you crash your calories too low, then you're also doing a disservice to yourself there too. So testosterone is going to drop, right? Your thyroid is slowing down, especially if you cut out carbs altogether. Your cortisol is going to rise and just flood everything. Muscle will get sacrificed because you're more high cortisol. Your lower T. If you bulk recklessly, you're gaining that unnecessary body fat. You extend your need to cut by like months just to get back to a good baseline. Your insulin sensitivity in general just drops. And even your workout intensity can drop on a dirty bulk. So you hardly make any gains all while you're eating more. And you're just screwing it up. So the right way, small calculated deficits. That's it. High protein, healthy fats, potent carbs, heavy training, steps daily. Walking is basic. So easy. And then all you have to do after that is controlled maintenance. That's what it's all about, maintaining the six pack once you've made it there, because abs are maintained at maintenance calories, and life is pretty enjoyable at maintenance calories. Really, it's not about starvation anymore. It's about maintaining and just cruising, just idling. So the truth is protein is very mandatory. This is the biggest thing people try to escape. 0.8 to 1 grams per pound of your body weight. That's it. It preserves muscle. It builds muscle. It helps burn fat. It controls your hunger better than anything else you could really eat whatsoever. And there's just no getting around it. Protein is huge. Carbs are great too. They fuel performance when you earn them. That's the big thing. When you earn those carbs. If you want dense, full abs and, the bulging shoulders with the veins, you want the glycogen in your muscle, basically, to push the veins against your skin. Low carb wrecked my performance. Low carb wrecked my hormones. And fats, they're very critical for hormone health. There's so many people that go out there and do this diet that's like low fat, non-fat, avoid all the animal fats. And they're probably the most unhealthy people out there, really, hormonally. So if you're avoiding whole foods that have fats in them, you're screwing it up, man. There's a point where too much can be too much, but you still need good fats in there. And if you don't get those fats in, testosterone suffers. This is biology, not ideology, right? And let's talk about micronutrients and hormones, because I think this is where things come together. So you can hit macros and still feel terrible, right? If you're not getting enough zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, iodine, iron, boron, all of these things affect your testosterone. These things also affect your thyroid conversion, selenium, getting enough selenium along with iodine, all these different things, helping your recovery, your sleep, magnesium coming in clutch for both of those. When I fixed my testosterone naturally within 6 months through smarter nutrition, key supplementation, better sleep, lower stress, smarter training, everything changed. It was a night and day difference. Like when it came down to my energy levels, picture this. I was hopping out of bed like with a purpose every single morning, just up, almost sometimes before the alarm even went off. I was ready to go off. And my mood, of course, I was feeling amazing. Like I was finally able to seize the every day, just with a positive outlook, no matter what happened. Just being fully dialed. And when it comes to drive, right, I was on my goals, improving myself, my business, and other people every single day. My drive was at an all-time high. And my fat loss response, when I started implementing my shred plan, my calories like for cutting, the body fat came off like melted butter on top of like abs of like corn on the cob or something, right? And when I later discovered my thyroid issues even, it explained my slower metabolism. And now I had to dial in and go a little bit of an extra walk, basically to burn that difference, the 200 to 300 calorie difference. So it was a small bit, but my testosterone still powered through so much of that stubborn fat. And, I even tried some thyroid support, the Armor Thyroid, and they both helped slightly too. So that is possible solution as well. But what helped me the most? Precision, tracking, adjusting, and then accepting the reality of my biology, no matter what it may be, right? It's not about being a victim to having low thyroid. If I burn 250 fewer calories than the average person, so what? I will work harder if that's what it takes. That just means, my incline Stairmaster session is just slightly longer, maybe 15 minutes longer. No big deal. No emotional breakdown. That's just strategic. That's what I'm dealt. That's the card I'm dealt. And I'm trying to optimize it. But hey, in the meantime, this is what I can do. Strength training should be the foundation for you. You do not get impressive abs by just dieting alone, right? You don't want to look like you've been in a concentration camp. So you need to build muscle first. So we're talking progressive overload, increasing the weight, increasing the reps every time, one of the two, controlling the volume, and then having the intentional intensity when you lift. 3 to 4 high quality sessions per week beats, high volume 6-7 days a week. Absolutely. So be intentional. Muscle density makes abs pop at higher body fat levels. So you don't even have to shred down as much. And without the muscle, you just look skinny and emaciated. And even better, the more muscle you have, the more fat you can burn at rest. It's a beautiful thing. And walking and cardio, you don't need to suffer from either of those. Walking shouldn't make you suffer at all. But, when it comes to cardio, 8,000 to 12,000 steps a day is powerful enough on its own, usually for some people. Low fatigue, high fat oxidation through walking, improved insulin sensitivity, and in my opinion, incline walking is elite. Stairmaster at a, comfortable pace, pinnacle. That is the pinnacle of cardio, if you ask me. The key is easing into cardio, though. This is a big mistake a lot of people make. So don't start with marathon duration or intensity. Just add a little bit every couple weeks. So start off at 5 to 7 minutes on the Stairmaster. Do it a couple times a week. Then slowly add more time on the Stairmaster, 10 to 15 minutes the next couple weeks. And then by month 3, you should be hitting about 30 minutes of Stairmaster a couple times a week. Fat oxidation primed and happening every day once you get this dialed in and ease into the cardio. And blood tests. I want to talk about blood tests again for sure. If you're dieting hard and your libido is gone, you're, freezing up, you have brain fog, you're depressed, and you find it hard to maintain that pump in the gym, get some blood work. Get the foundations, testosterone, free testosterone, TSH, free T3, free T4, hemoglobin A1C, triglycerides. All of these things are really good levers and just checkpoints to see how your body is doing in your fat loss phase, because you can't optimize what you just simply refuse to measure. So a shredded physique with crashed hormones is not impressive. It's fragile. No one should live like that. You can have both, trust me. So run the diagnostics and it will help you optimize with the right info. And if you need help, I can help you interpret and overcome any of your blood work obstacles. Just let me know. And this is also why a lot of people lose their abs too. So they end up getting them once in their life and then they relax their routine a bit or a lot. They stop weighing their food, right? They, start drinking alcohol more. They start eating junk, getting food ordered in instead of going for a walk or something. They train less intensely or stop altogether. They, start eyeballing their portions instead. And slowly, these people drift, right? They're just drifting. They kind of lost the plot. Abs are rented, and you really have to pay daily. And it's not with suffering. You don't suffer for abs, even at my condition. It's about the discipline. That's it. So listen up. You do not need perfect genetics. I had super low testosterone, a slow metabolism, thyroid issues, and I still built and maintained a six-pack naturally. Not because I'm a special person, per se, I wouldn't say so, but it's because I stopped guessing. It's all about the structure, my routine, my depth of analysis and measurement. That's it. I had to stop guessing at the end of it all because all my obstacles, physical and mental, they kept me stuck. I wasn't going anywhere. So I learned hormones. I learned macros. I measured food. I walked daily. I got labs done, blood work. I adjusted and moved the goalposts as I made progress. And most people, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do the things needed on the daily to get the six pack. So they stay average, right? Most people are caught up in like the secret hack or the extremes. You don't need the extremes. You just need the basic structure. And once you build that and start taking action on it, instead of questioning everything or thinking there's a shortcut, the six pack becomes normal. It's so easy, but it's also so hard. And that's when your identity changes too, because your standard for normal is already excellence to others. So what I do on my daily routine seems like elite level, like tracking and dietary nutrition and just lifestyle. But to me, this is just normal. Like this is living life for the best vitality. That's just what it takes. That's my new lifestyle. So the six pack comes from me having those basics done every day and knowing the dailies that I need to pay the rent every day. That's what it's all about. Either I'm going closer to getting that six pack revealed or I'm going farther away from it. You know, sometimes it's one step forward, two steps back. And then other times it's two steps forward, one step back. But you keep moving forward because it's so easy, but it's also so freaking hard. So realize it's more than just vanity. This is mental fortitude at its most primal, basic level. It's about working out when you have no freaking energy sometimes, but you push even harder because you have no freaking energy. That's sometimes what it takes to get like super lean. But it looks impressive because it's a reflection of how much discipline and how much grit and how much angst you have to push yourself to that next freaking level that most people can't even fathom until they make slow but sure progress or have the right blueprint for them. There's so many different baselines and things that can be making it difficult for you to reveal your six pack to that next level. So you got to be cognizant of all these things, man. But that's it. I'm going to cut it off here. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Comment, share, like for the algorithm, do all the good things. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.